Dude. And we're live, man. What's up?
Hey, man, we're back.
Drunk Mondays. I don't even know what episode we're on. This is. I look forward to this every freaking Monday. Like it's my excitement starts to build. Probably like Saturday. I'm like, oh man, like no, tomorrow's Sunday. But then I was like, then I got Monday. So man, I'm all in. I love it. I love doing this damn podcast.
I've been keeping track, even though I've been excited. It is episode 6. Episode 6. I can't believe we're on episode 6. Look how far we've come,
dude. It's so I just today I dropped episode 3, so it's on our Facebook page. And I'll tell you, the editing for me was a lot smoother and quicker this time than the first 2 times. So I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get the hang of it. There's still some quirks that I need to work out with myself, but for the most part, man, I'm really loving not just doing the podcast, but the process of all the things that we got to do. Like the next thing I want to do for episode 4, I want to try to cut that this week and maybe post it this week so that we're not so far behind. But I want to cut a little promo out of it. So I was gonna do it with Monday's episode.
You're fancy now,
man. I'm trying, man. You know, like this is giving me the thing, like. You know, like it's not just, you know, like it's all I do, you know, from a thing wise is work, right? And so yeah, like I really, really love, you know, I'm really loving doing this. So I'm all in, man. I am all in. So man, how was your week, man? Tell me about it.
Man, I mean, just like you, I think as the year is kind of winding down with things, right? Drunk Mondays, this podcast has definitely become the highlight of the week, right?
Yeah.
It's like I'm looking through topics. I'm like, what do we want to talk about? What do we got going on?
Yeah.
And sometimes I forget that we naturally just come up with crazy stuff anyways. Yep. We're just from 5 minutes into our pre-production. And we're talking about crazy things that we're like, man, should that be in there? Should that go in there? You know,
you're right, man. Because I think for me, I forget more stuff that should be in the pod. Because I think about it all week, and something happens, and I'm like, oh, we got to do that, and then I don't write it down or I don't text it to you. And by the time we get to pod day, it's like, all right, hey, let's talk about these 3 or 4 things. But man, I left stuff that I forgot about from Wednesday and Thursday last week that we should have talked about, but here we are.
Here we are. I'm still excited. Episode 3. This is amazing. Yeah, I checked our Facebook page before I logged on. Like we got 43 followers on Facebook. And shout outs to 43 followers.
People, man. And so I shared this episode. There's still some people that I probably should tell my parents. I don't think I told them. I probably will tell my mother definitely because I talked about her so bad in the last episode. I love her, but it was a Thanksgiving episode, so I had to make some jokes on my mama's behalf. She loves me. She knows it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been telling a lot of folks about it. I hope it just keeps spreading that love. But let's get into this episode. So what are you drinking?
So to me, this weekend, all right, so my commitment this weekend is I need to go back to the liquor store. I need to re-up because I am actually out of just about all of my bourbons. And so like Uncle Nearest is gone. It's not even a knuckle left. The Woodford is gone. So I'm back on Elijah Craig today. So next week for the pod, I'll probably have a couple new bottles. Because man, I am empty. Now there's a lot of bottles back there, but right. I don't some of that's for show and some of that's for, guests when they come over to the crib. It's something for everybody, right? Like I don't drink gin, but it's some Bombay back there.
There's something back there for somebody.
Yeah, it's something back there for everybody, right? It's some wine. I thought about busting open a wine, but then I'm like, I thought about that like 30 minutes ago, and I'm like, well, that means it's gonna be hot. You can't drink white wine warm, so I'm like, all right, guess I ain't going to that. So I'm back on the Elijah Craig. What about you?
I'm going back through mine too. I gotta go back to the liquor store, and I'm going back to the Suntory whiskey.
So you liked it that much?
I mean, I thought it was pretty good, and it's something different than what I've had. So why not? Right?
Why not? Right.
Why not?
So what's going on in the political world for you?
What happened this week, man? What this was great.
Biden won again.
Biden won again, right? So for all our listeners that probably know by now, right? The Electoral College has just announced their electorate votes, right? So
the electoral vote, yep.
I got a couple people that I know that are like, I'm about to go up to the Electoral College and let them know about my peace of mind. I was like, it is a process.
Right.
It is not a
college.
Right. So it is a people, not a place, in the words of Thor. Right. So
I like the Marvel reference right there. Snuck that in.
So yeah, I mean, this has come down to it. Biden's up 302. Looks like he's gonna hit 306, which is the same allocation that Trump won by.
I think as of the time when we're shooting this right now, I think the only state that hadn't officially certified or they haven't gone through the process in their electoral college or in their legislature, excuse me, was Hawaii. And so they are literally going through it still today. But as of shoot time for this, they hadn't done it yet. So
but so they have 4 electorates out there. It'll be 306.
It'll be 306. It's done.
Said and done.
Which is the same margin of victory that Trump had 4 years ago against Hillary.
And this is just an amazing time because usually the Electoral College would probably be one of the most boring things that no one pays attention to.
It's uneventful.
Pomps and circumstance, right? But now it's like everyone's like, ooh, are they going to do it? What's going to happen? What if they're unfaithful electors? Like, what's going to happen here? And just like many scholars, political scholars had said before, it kind of went through the motions that it should have because like every sane person on earth, Joe Biden won the election.
I can't believe this is still a conversation that we're having, to be fully transparent with you.
I gotta give props though to Joe Biden for being so cool about it, right?
Yes.
Like there's a certain level of cool that comes along with like, hey man, do what you got to do, work out your math, whatever you got to do. I know 2 + 2 = 4. I won the election. It doesn't matter if you count it on Monday. Doesn't matter if you count it on Friday. You recount, do it again, twist it up, shoot it up again. I don't care. I won the election. Now, now you're watching Biden get a little bit more aggressive. Like, come on, man.
Yep.
At a certain time, you just gotta come on. It's time.
You gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them. I don't know where that came from. Know when to walk away.
That's the glass talking.
That's it. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you though, man. At some point, I love the way Biden has handled it. It's like, bro, whatever you got to do to make yourself feel good, but you lost. It's cool. Like, let's just fade on into the sunset. I'm about to be president, and let's go. So I appreciate the demeanor and the calmness that he's handled it with, while everything else around him, it's like fire and brimstone and burning it down. And commentators are like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next?
Right.
It's like, do what you want to.
Biden's like, not a big thing, right?
I mean, but your boy Trump, I think right now is maybe 1 in 60 in his court cases. I think it's 1 in 60, maybe 1 in 59. He's won 1 and lost 59 other court cases, including the one from this past weekend when he lost maybe last week. Anyway, in the Supreme Court, which is the one he said was the big one.
Right.
And the Supreme Court was like, yeah, no, I don't even want to hear it. It's a flawed case. All of your arguments are lies. Leave me alone.
Which I did wonder for a while. Trump appointed 3 of the Supreme Court justices, swung it hugely to a conservative side, which I mean, think about that what you will, according to your political ideology.
Right.
But I was concerned, right? I mean, Trump appointed 3 Supreme Court justices. What I really did respect, though, is that a couple of Supreme Court kind of scholars out there basically came came together and were like, they ain't gonna do nothing. Why?
Yep.
Because once you're a Supreme Court justice, you're a Supreme Court justice for life, right?
Yep.
So now that they're for life, they don't have to necessarily have his back to that extent. It's like, what can you do? You can't do anything.
And it's funny because if you remember, right, they rushed through that Amy Coney Barrett process specifically for this moment, right? They was like, hey, we want to have our conservative member on the court so that when this goes to the Supreme Court, we have we can win it in the court, because he knew he wasn't going to win the election. So it was all about, let me push this to get this to the court so that I can try to steal it. And even she was like,
federal court judges, his federal court judges have been turning them down left and right.
And I will say,
I respect that type of patriotism.
mm-hmm.
I think that type of patriotism is being lost in this current conversation, right? Many of the things that Trump's own followers are putting forth are undemocratic things.
Mm-hmm.
Let's turn over an election.
Yep.
Let's just have the court appoint somebody. Are you not from America? Do you not know how America works? I thought everyone beyond the grade of second grade knew how America kind of worked. Like, it kind of comes together. We all raise hands and we vote. Mm-hmm. This is how this goes.
Now, right? I will say, though, one of my concerns is Trump is such an idiot that his court cases were trash and his legal team was trash. Like, when your legal team is Rudy Giuliani and the Kraken lady, like, bruh, your legal team is trash. But for a smarter president who has authoritarian leaning, that can actually get real attorneys to argue his case or her case. And if the election was closer, right? Like, I think the reality is we're talking about a spot where he lost in Georgia by 11,000 votes, 30,000 in this state and 20,000 in another, 80,000 in another. If the election was closer and came down to fewer states, would that conservative majority in the court have done what he wanted them to do? And if he was not dumb and he had smarter attorneys, right? So if three things would have happened, the election would have been closer, if Trump wasn't so dumb, and if he had better attorneys, which is probably linked to his dumbness, then what, could a conservative majority have pushed it to the other side?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is really weird territory to be in when these become very feasible things that could play out. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like, I mean, we got lucky now. Exactly. We have to make sure. And, I think this kind of echoes back to people that are very critical of the Democratic Party, right? Mm-hmm. It's time for you to show up for the people that voted for you.
Exactly.
Or this is the kind of risk that you run. Because I think I was talking with my wife about this, and I said, over 155 million people voted, right? Those numbers far outpace what was in 2016.
Yep.
So that says to me is in 2016, people just didn't show up, right? Now in 2020, huge numbers of people come out, but that's a very reactive state. Why do we have to be reactive to this type of politics? Why can't we be proactive in that stance?
And I mean, I think that's something. And so for me, one of the things that I'm going to be intrigued to see is what's the turnout numbers in the runoff for Georgia and the Ossoff and Perdue and Loeffler, or Warnock and the KKK lady. Because a lot of what, I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. A lot of what Stacey Abrams has been doing is, and Black Voters Matter, that organization, like, it's all about mobilization, right? And so can what they are doing mobilize enough voters to win a runoff? And if it can, then as a Democratic Party, do you then say, oh, okay, I see what Stacey did. I see that investment year after year. It's not just on election years. It's 8, 10, 12 years of building bridges and inroads.
Right.
Can we duplicate that in other states like North Carolina and all of these traditionally, Republican states that have huge pockets of voters that should be Democratic, like North Carolina. You think Mississippi, I think, has the largest population of Black people in the South. So why can't we mobilize that voting? Now, granted, I'm making an assumption that all Black people vote Democrat, which is a poor assumption on my part. But I think we can all make the stand firm on the fact that the majority of Black people vote Democrat. So
Right.
why can't we flip a state like Mississippi if we implement some boots on the ground, really building inroads into these communities with candidates that speak to issues and not speak to the party, if that makes sense.
It is very interesting because I think this is going to hit a couple of things on our agenda today, but definitely I think it's interesting because I look at a state like Mississippi and I wonder what is happening with voter participation in a state such as Mississippi or even Alabama. And I just got to wonder, I would really like to get to know the people there to understand what is it that would make their lives better, right?
Yep.
And how is that being fulfilled by the current government status quo or not being fulfilled by that? Because I think it's just the case that a healthy government isn't sided one way or another.
Exactly.
But works in balance with each other. And when I look at a state like Mississippi, I just kind of wonder, like, what is the perfect balance for that state? And is that a Democratic institution or Republican institution? I mean, there are people that are still alive today that look at the Democratic Party and say, these were the same people that kept us from civil rights, from
definitely
from moving in a progressive way in any direction. So it's just very interesting. It's such an interesting dynamic.
I mean, but I think the same goes to on the other side of the coin, right? Like, I think if you have to look at a state like California, and it goes back to balance. And I agree, like the system of government that we use is predicated on balance, and it's not a zero sum game, right? It's not like it's not the Republicans get everything that they want and the Democrats get nothing, right? It's about creating balance and compromise at every level of government. And so what we have right now is a system that's zero sum, and that's why we see in Congress we don't have another coronavirus relief package,
right?
Because Republicans are playing this zero sum game, and it's like, no, we're going to get everything we want. Or I'll say not Republicans, because there's a bipartisan group, but I'll say Mitch McConnell is playing this zero sum game. And at the end of the day, the only people that are hurting are the citizens. And so it also makes me wonder how he keeps winning elections. And it's obvious that he don't give a damn about his constituents.
But then there's people in Kentucky are voting for him, right?
Exactly. That's my point. Like, how is he still winning elections? He just won his election this year when it's obvious that he don't give a damn about the people, right? He's just hustling for himself, right? Like he's currently holding up coronavirus relief aid simply for liability protections for corporations. Tell me how that impacts the people, right? Like, that don't impact the dude who just lost his job. Like, if you just lost your job, you don't care about liability protections for major corporations. Like, major corporations want liability protection so that you can't sue them when they do the bare minimum to keep you safe from coronavirus, right? Like, they ain't passing out PPE or nothing, but they want your ass to come to work every day. Come on, man. Like, but that's the dude that Kentucky sent to represent them. So,
I mean, I think with 840,000 people that just filed unemployment for the first time, little over 2 weeks before Christmas,
right?
I got a feel for all those families affected.
Exactly.
Because that's the first time filers, right? There's millions of people out of work right now. I think I would say I'm a very spiritual person. I don't know if I'm necessarily religious, right? And I think this has a way of guiding back the balance that you'll see from 2020, which is be thankful for what you got, right? Because you never know when those things can be taken away from you, right? It's just one of those years, you
It's
know.
trash, man. And I think about, the kids. I think, you talk about the
Right.
800,000 first time filers, but, in some of these states, the Republicans have trashed the system of filing for unemployment. And
Right.
so you could have filed and just still been in the system from the last time.
Right.
Right.
That's
So you
crazy.
might not have even received your aid yet from unemployment. And because you're waiting in line trying to file, or the system website keeps crashing or whatever. And so we're talking about 800,000 new people that have filed,
Right.
not counting the people that are already unemployed, that are waiting to receive the benefit, waiting to receive benefits. And that's not including those at the end of this year. The moratorium on eviction goes away,
Right.
and so if you
It's
ain't if
sad,
you
man. It's crazy.
it's just crazy.
It's crazy, and to see people locally affected by that, and
Exactly.
people from a distance that just don't care, right? I think that's something that really should strike a tone with people. If you say that you're a patriot, if you say you're a democratic, not Democratic Party follower
Hmm.
or whatever,
Yeah, little d
uh,
Democrat.
if you care about people in general, your heart really has to go out at
Yep.
this point and say 300,000 people have died. There are people dying every day.
Every
I saw a figure
day.
that said one person dies from coronavirus every 40 seconds. And that is crazy,
I
right?
think they
That's
said, what was
totally
it?
unacceptable.
They said there's a 9/11 every day.
That is crazy. And I do have to wonder what the long-term implications of this are, because that's 300,000 people that aren't coming back,
Yep.
right? They're gone.
That
That's
aren't
it.
paying taxes. They're not paying into the system. That's
And
Yeah.
we just can't stand by and watch this kind of travesty happen, right? Like their whole families being decimated
Yep.
by this virus, you know?
Yep. But the crazy thing about it is, again, you brought up the person, but I'm thinking about you brought up the if you believe in democracy and all, the Republican Party is supposed to be the party of Christian beliefs. But
Right.
but how do you reconcile your actions with your words, right? You talk about your faith in your love for Jesus, but here we are watching people die and do nothing.
I do kind of understand, and I think some of our viewers may not agree with this wholly, right? But holy, W holy, not holy HOLY holy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that to a certain extent, I think they're the old school Christians, right? The old school Christianity that says Christianity for some, not others, right? And for those others, that otherism extends as the top priority rule. There are some of us that will be made whole by this. There are others that, I have nothing to do with that. That is on them. And
Well,
that
they missing everything after the part where Jesus was born in.
right.
I
I mean,
mean,
that's true. I think that's definitely true. And it's like I don't understand this logic, right?
mhm.
And I mean, before we get off in the rabbit holes and
A
tangents,
faith.
here,
Yeah,
right?
we're at a faith rabbit hole right now.
We're at a faith rabbit hole. I've been to so many different churches. At some point, me and my wife were exploring churches. We went to a church. We were exploring where our faith was kind of guiding us from an institutional standpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
We visited so many churches, and every church had their own kind of doctrine of what is in and what is out, right?
Right, right.
And we eventually landed on a church that said, there is no out, there is in. We try to capture as much in as
Mm.
possible. And I was like, that makes sense to me, right?
But I mean, isn't that the
kind of
ministry though?
I think, I would say my philosophical training would say maybe I'm not a genius. I can't figure out the moral calculus of this.
Right.
I don't know. I would only be able to say that's what seems to make sense to me is how can we be more inclusive of an environment without excluding people based on merit, right? Or based
How can
on
I just love you for who you are and then let everything else be sorted out by
right.
somebody at a higher pay grade than me?
Right. And I think that's controversial. I don't mean to challenge anybody's religious upbringing or anything like that. I think that is somewhat controversial in the academic sense of being something critical worth thought, you know. But I wouldn't make a claim to say that is the universal truth
Right.
of the world. I would just say that's where I've been led, you know. So I think when it comes to politics, that's why I don't align with Republicans. I hope our listeners would recognize that and say, I don't have something against Kelly Loeffler or David Perdue for being white or being, you know, rich or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't align with them because I don't ascribe to those type of values that they keep putting forth. I admittedly saw a Kelly Loeffler advertisement about Raphael Warnock, right? So this commercial comes on and it's like, Raphael Warnock wants to let youth out of prison. And he's like, we can't keep having our families locked up in prison. We got to do something about the prison system.
Let our babies go.
Let our babies. You seen this, right? I'm thinking to myself, like, is this an advertisement for Raphael Warnock,
right,
or against them? Because there's some folks out there that are like, that guy has got this messed up, right? We got to lock him up, lock them all up, right? And I'm like, who is voting for this person that thinks that I've invested? And this is the particular philosophy, ethical point of this, right? I gave you money to get elected. You bought a commercial vilifying a guy who says we need to let youth out of prison. I don't understand why you took my money and bought this commercial vilifying this guy on that, right? Like, I've heard some of the other arguments. Okay, maybe.
No, there's no maybe. Because even in that same commercial, it's the scripture. It's the one where he's talking about you can't serve the military and God. But if you've been to church, for a month straight, literally, right? Like, give me 2 months in any pastor's church, we're gonna get to the scripture where he says you can't serve two masters, right? Like every pastor's
right. It's gonna come out
sermon. Right. It's like, oh, I was sick all week and I didn't really have a chance to get in the word like I wanted to. Every pastor has that sermon where he says you can't serve two masters, right? It's either the sermon on tithing or the sermon where you can't serve two masters. That's every pastor's go-to sermon.
It's in there. It's in there somewhere.
It's in the book, right? It's like, I don't know what to preach. Oh, here we go. You can't serve two masters.
Right.
Boom. Like, pull it out the hip pocket. And so she just seems disingenuous and an idiot. And everybody who can't see through that tells me that you either you aren't a Christian like you said you were, or you worship in churches where you don't open the Bible.
Or, I mean, I think I land slightly different, right? So where I would say this for my thing with Kelly Loeffler in this is, right, do you have a theological degree? No, you do not. Mm-hmm. Do you study and work inside the word of the Bible? Do you know these things? You do not. So how dare you? That's like him coming up to you and saying credit default swaps. Let me tell you how this works, right? And you're like, do you have a finance degree? No, I don't. How can you use those things against him? Exactly. If you don't know the language, right? Exactly. You don't even know what he's talking about. You could be taking it fully out of context. And that's very difficult to process. But again, that's why it was like, I don't really need to watch the debate. I don't really need to research the candidates in the runoff. I already know who I'm voting for. I knew who I was voting for before. I'm going to follow that up.
Yep.
But this does bring us into a part of the segment. See, this rabbit hole comes right back to the agenda. If you live in Georgia right now, let me tell you something. The people, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have hired to advertise for the runoff, I fully believe they hired all the ex-collectors, bill collectors out there, because these people are amazing, right? My wife, I just got 5 pieces of mail today, right? 2 were applications for absentee ballots, right? That were like, oh, I didn't know. Okay, cool. You can apply for an absentee ballot. 3 of them were handwritten notes that were like, Biden, Harris, we support Ossoff. I was like, someone wrote this, right?
Yep.
I appreciate that person now has a job, but I'm thinking to myself, wow.
Yep.
Y'all are on it, right? I get like maybe 6 text messages a day.
No lie. Yesterday, I got an email. I got 7 emails. One of them came from Warnock, and then the next one came from somebody else, and then the next one was like, "Hey, this is President Obama. We noticed that you didn't open the email from Warnock." And then the next one was from Kamala. Hey, President Obama asked you, Warnock asked you, this is serious, so I'm going to ask you. And then the final one was obviously Joe Biden. And it was like,
dude,
bruh, where are you? Give us the $10 or whatever.
They don't even want $10. They just want your runoff vote. And I was like, whoever came up with this strategy is a genius, right? Because bill collectors will get you one way or another. Eventually, they will get you, right? They must have hired every legal document server, right? Those guys that serve legal documents that you've been served, right? Those guys, the bill collectors, the telemarketers, they must have hired them, because the people, how they have chased me down is like, I want to let them know, like, hey, man, you don't need to worry about me.
Use your effort on somebody else. Like, I wish you could respond to the text and be like, hey, bro, I'm good. I'm going to vote.
But this is why somebody else. This is also why I'm worried about them, right? Because I have a degree in business analytics and big data, right? And I've thought to myself, hey, man, obviously you're not using the right analytics package, or you're not using a good spread on the analytics here, because I'm safe. You don't need to keep hitting me up. You need to go find other people that are on the fence. I don't know what kind of analytics you're using, but you're targeting the wrong person with too much money.
I think that they're shotgunning this thing. I think, for the general, it was hyper targeted, and the mobilization effort was really good. I think because they only got a month and a half, I think they're shotgunning it. And I think they're saying, hey, give us every dollar you can give us so that we can run as many ads and we can shoot as many shots at a wide swath of people and do whatever it takes to get people out. I think right now it's all a turnout game, right? It's a runoff election. And so whatever we can do to turn out one more person. And that's what makes this whole Republican stop the steal, burn the GOP down campaign hilarious, is because essentially you're shooting yourself in the foot before you go into these elections. Now granted, some of that I think will be, the Republican Party will be all right. I'm not going to lose no sleep over them, but
no, let's play chess, not checkers, right? Mitch McConnell does not want to win the runoff. I promise you, he does not want to win the runoff, right? Why? Because if he wins the runoff, then now they have to work with Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden on at least some of the things. And it emboldens Trump to say, my candidates won the Georgia runoff. I'm the only thing keeping us in power, right?
I think he wants to stay in power enough that he wants Loeffler.
No. Mitch McConnell knows the long game is where it's at, right? If you want to take Biden down by one-term president, what you have to do is maintain. You either have to show, hey, we maintain a majority in the Senate and we ruled with an iron fist, which you cannot do. You're not really able to do that as much as you think you are, right? because
he
you
could
got
do
too
it
much.
if he wins these 2 seats. He'll do it because he'll have the
No,
majority.
no, no. He's up against a giant hill right here, right? Because if he wins, right, he wins the runoff. You're now bolting to Trump overtaking the party for the next 4 years, right?
I think Trump owns that party regardless because these
I
idiots
think
signed on that damn letter for what 126 signed on that damn
I
letter
think
from
a
Texas.
bunch of them will say if Kelly Loeffler particularly loses, right? And that was Trump's girl, right? If she loses, then they lose the Senate. And then McConnell has president to say, look, we got to think about things different. We got mollywopped, right? I'm trying to use Mitch McConnell words. We got taken down a notch. We need to now retool the Republican Party, and it can't be that Trump is the guiding force here. This isn't working, right? And it gives them an out. It gives them an out to say, let the Democrats spend up all the money, right? Let the Democrats spend it all up. So then when we come back on the next midterm, we can say, look what they did. Look what they did when they had power. We need to come back into power under a different influence. And I don't think Mitch McConnell actually wants to win. If Mitch McConnell wanted to win, he'd bring his raggedy behind down here and be politicking and all that
Mitch
stuff.
McConnell old. I don't think he really want to travel because he talk trash and he don't want to give y'all no coronavirus money. But he in that special age group that he might catch us. I don't think he want to travel too tough. I don't know, man. The one thing I've learned about Mitch McConnell, man, is he always wants to be in power. And the last thing Mitch McConnell wants to do is lose the Senate, because what you then run into is you have several left or right-leaning Supreme Court judges who are getting up there in age. And I don't think they're not old enough that they would leave during Biden's first term. But if you give the Democrats another presidency after Biden, so say Biden serves 4 or 8 years, either one, pick your poison, you're going to lose 2 judges on the right. You're probably going to lose Clarence Thomas because he's old, and I think you're going to lose Alito because he's old as well.
Nah, you're not going to lose Alito. Alito has been playing this. This has been Alito's master plan from for like ever. If you talk about libertarianisms, right, and conservatisms, Alito, this has been Alito's this is my golden age, right? This is why prior to this, I would argue I haven't seen Alito's name pop up more than what I've seen in the past month or two.
Oh yeah, he's out there now.
Because now he's got his disciples on the court, right? And that's why he's like a pseudo Chief Roberts, right? And
I'm more conservative than Chief Roberts.
No. What I mean is Chief Roberts has evolved over time to not be as reliably conservative and said, as Chief Justice, I gotta cut the line here. Alito doesn't have those same.
Alito don't give a damn.
He's like, no. This is what we gonna do, and he's making proactive statements now, right?
No,
about religious freedom and all this stuff. So I'm telling you, I feel this. Mitch McConnell. What I know about Mitch McConnell is he is a chess player. He is a chess, not checkers player, right? He is always looking for the move of the move of the move to checkmate for the rest of the game, right? And I think what he would say is, look, you already lost the White House, right? And you've already given Biden a blueprint to skip over Congress by what Trump did with executive action.
100%.
Which has been, and you can argue that executive branch has gotten more and more aggressive with it.
That's been going on since. It's
been going on forever. Barack did it, Bush did it. It's been progressively growing.
But I will say Trump has used his executive privilege to, one thing that each president has always done is he's used executive privilege, yes. But Trump has taken it to a whole new level with not getting his people confirmed through the Senate by making them all, temporary appointees or acting Secretary of Defense. So Trump has taken this whole congressional oversight thing to a whole new level.
And I mean, Biden is set to do it. I mean, as much as I would benefit from student loan forgiveness and things that we've talked about previously on this podcast, what I would say is I would be a bit concerned, right? That does set a certain precedent. If Joe Biden writes in $50,000 of student loan payments are forgiven, that's crazy, right?
But I would support it if he has a Republican Senate. If he has a Democratic Senate, I'm less likely to support it because what you're not doing is giving me a broader package that benefits more people. You're just doing a simple quick fix and not addressing the systematic issue, right?
No,
so with the Democratic Senate, I think you can address systematic issues. With the Republican Senate, I'm like, hell, give the people what they need.
No, I honestly think Mitch McConnell is like, I'm kind of giving up on this, right? Let them play this out, but I'm gonna save face because he's at this range, they'll have what, 51 if they win?
If the Democrats win the 2 seats, it'll be 50-50.
If the Democrats win, if the Democrats win, it's 50-50, right?
50-50 with President Vice VP Harris being the tiebreaker.
So under that, so then it's 52-48, I guess, right?
Yeah.
52-48, right?
I mean, I would probably argue it'll be 53-47 because Joe Manchin, I think in West Virginia, is a Democrat, but he's super conservative.
But then watch what happens, right? What you have is a problem in the Senate, which is anybody that visions that they are going to be the contender for 24 now has become the most powerful senator. And they're going to be like, oh, I could sway the vote either way because I'm the one that look out for bipartisanship.
I don't think, and see, that's the thing that's going to shoot the Republicans in the foot, is because they didn't get out of the way of Donald. I mean, they didn't push Donald Trump out. And so now he's gonna have his thumb on the scale.
He's a lingering.
If he comes out on Inauguration Day and says, I'm running for president, then that pushes everybody who thought that they were going to run for president out. And now you're hoping that he gets indicted in the state of New York so that he drops out. But
that's not going to happen.
So now you're saying
it's going to happen the way that people want it to.
So now Pompeo, who was going to run, Lindsey Graham is rumored to be running again. Rubio's dumbass is thinking about running again. Ted Cruz is thinking about running again. All of these people.
Right, but they're not the chosen one. Somebody out there is the chosen one.
But as long as Donald Trump lingers out there, if he comes out on Inauguration Day and says he's running, it automatically sucks all the oxygen out the room and all the oxygen out the party. And they're gonna be like, shit, I guess we're riding with Donald Trump again because you didn't speak up last time. So
I mean, I think what we got to do, at least for this podcast, right? We got to move off the politics, man. It's too heavy.
I love it. No, you can stay here the whole damn episode.
You can stay here the whole episode and people be like, more politics?
Right. Okay. All right. Let's switch. All right. Did you see the other day that Warner Brothers announced that they were going to drop all of their 2021 movies on HBOMax the same day as theaters?
What? Of course I saw this. I was like, at first I thought I saw it and then I read it and then I was like, I didn't see it the way that they sent it. Right.
And then I didn't know I had HBOMax because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, man, all right, who am I going to borrow HBOMax from? And then boom, I go and look and I was like, oh, because, Candace got the HBOMax trial so we could watch the Fresh Prince joint. And then I go back and it's still there. She's like, oh, I forgot to cancel it. I said, oh, we ain't canceling it now.
Right. Hey, HBO and Warner Brothers have ignited a war against movie theaters, right? AMC and Regal obviously took like the sidestep. They said, well, we haven't been notified about anything. We can't comment on that. AMC tried to come out and say, hey, man, If they want to suffer, that's on them. They're going to suffer their bottom line. And I really do feel like some of these directors that are coming out, they're alleging actors. So there's a big push by some famous actors that have said they're not getting the Gal Gadot treatment, which is Wonder Woman apparently has worked out some financials behind how they're going to be released on Christmas Day, and they're not getting that same type of package. So they're up in arms about all this, right?
I mean, I think some of it is just people. I think a lot of these studios, man, are just trying to figure it out. Like, what's going to net me the biggest bang for my buck? And we're gonna have to figure. I mean, they're gonna have to figure this out. But I mean, I could care less about what AMC thinks because they're struggling as a company anyway. And the last thing about AMC was they're near getting bought by Amazon. Like Amazon was about to buy AMC. So AMC, you're failing as a company. But I'm torn because right now with COVID jumping off, vaccine or no vaccine, I ain't jumping in a movie theater quick. No way.
Hey man, I'm gonna keep it real, right? AMC, I'm sorry for you, right?
They gone
in the same way as Kodak and Blockbuster, right? Which is you couldn't see the writing on the wall.
Didn't innovate.
If you had got ahead of this, you could have bought Netflix and then got into the game. Bought Voodoo, got into the game. The game. You could have bought a TV maker. You could have got with Vizio and said, we're going to do direct to your home.
Exactly.
But you didn't see it and you got greedy, right? And as time tells us, with economy and innovation and technology, you will be shown that door to walk your ass out of, right?
And so, yeah, I mean, I'm torn because I love going to the movie theater, but with these COVID folks,
$30.
Nah, I don't. Not when you. And it's more than that. I'm like, bro, like by the time I done bought 4 tickets.
3D is cool. It's not that cool.
It ain't my couch.
Right. Hey, and I was already going to the AMC value joint where they got the old school prices, right? Where they didn't like redo the theater and all that bull, right? So to me, what I was telling Danielle this. Danielle hears all my rants, right? Where I'm like, yo, what people about to do is around Super Bowl, they gonna get 75-inch, 85-inch TVs, throw them in the basement, and they gonna be back at the house streaming whatever, right? Because we on the underside of life have always known about bootleg movies, right? And we were just looking for the best quality bootleg.
And then back in the day, when you had the bootleg man that you knew you could trust,
right?
You just
like, hey, I don't need the hand in the screen, right? I don't need the head sitting up there, right?
And he came to let me tell you one time. Oh, hold on real quick. Danielle better like your rants, and she just better take it and just be blessed that she's getting the opportunity to hear your rants first. One. But two, man, I had at my old barbershop, man, we had a bootleg, man. I love this barbershop because on Saturdays, like Friday nights, it'd be a dude frying fish. It would be it'd be a bootleg man that come in selling DVDs, and then another dude who would come in selling rum punch. So I'm like, man, this is my kind of spot. And then if you came in the morning, my man will be the same dude that was selling rum punch will be coming around selling fresh fruit.
So, the fruit dude.
The fruit dude.
I mean, people don't understand. If you want to stimulate the black economy for black males, you better go through the barbershop because that's where a bulk of business goes through. Period. Right. But I mean, talking back about this movie stuff, right? This is crazy. I think it's
crazy.
I think someone black told HBOMax, be like, hey man, they already doing it on a Fire Stick. You ain't getting your money back,
bro. Right? Hey, let me tell you, that jailbroken Fire Stick.
Right. Hey, someone jailbroke a Fire Stick. Bunch of people out there, they're like, I ain't going to watch what was the movie? The crazy movie with Denzel Washington's son.
I don't remember that.
It was a crazy movie where things was going backwards, it was forwards in time. Ain't nobody paying for that, right?
Let me tell you something. In the bootleg app I got, they already done got the picture for Wonder Woman, the new Wonder Woman joint. It ain't no streams for it yet, but they already ready. And I'm like, man, please, like, now granted, because I will support certain movies, yeah, I'm gonna get the movie. I'm gonna watch it in its pure form. And like for my Marvel joints, I will watch them in a pure form. Shout out to at the owners meeting the other day, Marvel announced the Fantastic Four is coming to the big screen. We got
to talk about that. We got to talk
back to the big screen, baby. I saw that. I was like, ooh.
Hey, so the movie that I'm talking about is Tenet, right?
Oh, I didn't see. Right? I wanted to see that.
No, I wanted to see it. I'm not going to a theater to watch it.
No. I ain't going to no theaters.
This was what HBOMax and Warner Brothers acutely understand, but everyone else seems to not understand, right? Is that people read reviews and they engage whether they're going to spend $30 in the theater to go watch it, right? And for Christopher Nolan, when he makes this movie Tenet, it's like a big budget movie. Everyone's in it. Oh, you got to see it. It's amazing. It looks amazing on your TV screen, right?
Yep.
And people watch it and they're like, man, this looks like a good movie. That's Denzel Washington's son. That's the dude from Twilight, Robert Pattinson. This is going to be a pretty good movie, right? But then the reviews start coming in. Hard to hear. Don't know what they're saying. What's going on with the movie? I don't understand. Yada, yada, all those things, right? All these things play out. People start saying, but it made sense on my commercial. Maybe I'll just wait till it comes out, right? Now that it's coming out, people are like, oh, I'll watch it at the crib. I'm not going to watch it at the theater.
I'll watch it on my jailbroken Fire Stick.
Right? So now that people are doing this, it's like, it doesn't make sense anymore for you to be thinking about, especially in 2020, like, hey, all the movies we lost in 2020, you're going to pack them into 21? I can't go to the movies more times than what I got a budget to do.
Exactly.
Right? So they smartly said, look, and for the people that don't know, HBOMax has said, look, all of majority of our releases will be available day of release on HBOMax with a key hopper without additional cost and a key value point at 4K Ultra HD, right? You in there, right?
Take my money.
AT&T about to they're going to get brought up on monopoly charges again because this is ridiculous, right?
No. The AT&T got some time because they going at the Google right now. They're going at the Facebook right now. AT&T got time.
Hey, man, this is amazing.
It's amazing.
I cannot tell you how excited I am to watch Wonder Woman 1984 on Christmas Day. I'm be like, boop, 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 bop, bop,
hey, hey. I'm about to find out which one of my friends got the biggest TV, and I'm just showing up. Hey, I'm at the house. What time are you watching the movie? I got the pizza and wings.
You gotta check it out because this is the new model. This is how this things work. And it's like I feel bad for you that you couldn't see the writing on the wall, but you better get ahead of this, right?
I mean, reality is most of these movies that you're seeing, like, all right, so Wonder Woman, you was gonna go with your group of friends anyway, so that you could dissect the movie after. Right. Now you're just transitioning that entire experience to your home, right? And so now the next step for the theater is going to be, how do I monetize the home experience? I'm pretty sure they're going to figure out a way to get more money out of me.
I'll tell you what exactly they're going to do, but they haven't figured this out how to do it yet. This is why I would be an evil genius, rich billionaire in another life, right?
Well, text it. Don't say it because they might be watching. They might be friends of the pod.
Hey, if they're 33, follow on, bro. But look, so this is what I would do. I would probably market the sound system and upgraded visuals, right? And say, this is the Dolby experience, right? But the problem is you don't own Dolby. Go figure.
I mean, I think you said this earlier, maybe in another pod, in another episode, you're going to see a run on people upgrading, not just the TV, but the whole experience, right? Right. So you're going to see sound bars get more, you're going to see sound bars get better and have better audio quality. You're going to see everything that assists in the movie in the at-home viewing experience get better, right? So I'm all in, bro. Hey, like again, I would sneak away and go to the movies by myself or with my nerd group, because it's cheaper for me to just go to the movies and spend the 15 or whatever it is for me. But when you talk about now, I got to take my son to see the new Marvel movie.
Hey, let's talk about this, right? So HBO Max obviously made a big investment into movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Disney ends up going a different direction, but still earth-shattering, right? Basically, every character that you know in the MCU up until this point got their own show coming out.
Fire.
Basically, every character that you know in the Star Wars movies got their own show.
Yes.
And what I appreciate about this is when I looked at the trailers, I'm like, this looks like pretty cinematic. Like you're
getting movie quality. Yes.
Of movie quality experience that I'm like, how is this happening?
But because I think what you're getting is you're getting shorter. So you're not getting, your TV episode, your TV seasons are running, 15, 20 episodes, whereas your Marvel Cinematic Universe shows are not running, but they're maybe running 10 or 12. And so they're spending more money, but giving you less content, but they're packing much more in, which I'm all in for.
Right. Exactly. Hey, I would say this about this. I think they've figured out, something from HBO, right? Which HBO, if people didn't know, was game changing in terms of content for paid cable content, right? The Wire, The Sopranos, many of their shows were major, like in terms of, wow, this is a really good show on paid cable TV. Now Disney has figured out, let's flip this model and say it's not about, if we have the Winter Soldier and the Falcon in a movie, that's 2 hours that we can plug into a movie, and maybe we could build a triplicate franchise off of this, right? That's 6 hours of content,
right?
Big terms budget that we got to pay out for. Maybe if we transfer them to the level of a TV series, right? You get a 30-minute episode, 10 episodes, right? That's 5 hours of content under a new kind of contract, pay them a little bit better. You can get that same type of value and spread laterally across all these properties, because now Warhammer's getting a show. I think Ironheart in the show.
Hey, bro, I'm all in for Ironheart
in the show. Everyone's getting a show, and I'm like, yo, this is pretty dope.
But I think what it allows you to do is, if you look at somebody like Falcon and Winter Soldier in their show, right? If I'm planning out the future of my franchise, I am able to lock their contract in and then immediately go into production of their show right after I go into production, right after I finish production of their movie. So I'm using the same set, I'm using the same people, I'm using the same extras. And so I don't have to build out the extra stuff. I'm using all the same things, all the same permits that I've been using, and I get a big budget production from Winter Soldier and Falcon on the same money that I was already spending for Captain America 3 or whatever. So man, and then we're still going to get the big blockbuster movies from Marvel. They didn't say whether or not they were going to theater or whether they were going to Disney Plus, but Fantastic Four is back in Marvel hands.
This is crazy, right? WandaVision. I saw the trailer for Loki, and
Loki looks amazing.
In my mind, I was like, what is happening here?
Loki looks amazing.
Right? WandaVision looks amazing in terms of what this means for cinematic television at that scale. And I was like, this is insane. And then I saw all the Star Wars announcements that Rosario Dawson is getting her own show.
And you're getting these ancillary Marvel characters that you would have never gotten in a movie. You're getting Moon Knight, which is the Marvel version of Batman. You're gonna get She-Hulk, right? Like these are characters that you would have never seen introduced in a movie. You might have gotten She-Hulk maybe, but you would have never gotten Moon Knight. You would have never gotten Hawkeye's daughter in a movie. You would have never gotten Ironheart, the Black Spider-Man. I mean the Black Iron Man character.
And you can imagine that for them, they learned from the CW that there's a DC cinematic universe that is not in the movies. It's the television network is where all the movers and shakers are, right?
And they exist in the same space, but like they exist in the same space as the movies, but they don't interact or intersect with each other.
I would argue for DC comics, the television universe is
way better than their
cinematic universe.
Yep.
And it's because the stories make sense and you want to get to know Flash over 5 or 6 seasons. You want to get to know Green Arrow over 5 or 6 seasons. You just can't do that in a movie, right?
So character development is so much better.
I gotta admit that the most excited property that I'm looking forward to for Disney Plus is I am really excited that they are doing a Lando Calrissian show, right?
That's going to be amazing.
Because I'm really hoping Donald Glover steps back into the role of Lando Calrissian from
They haven't announced that?
They haven't announced it yet, right? But if
it has to be him though, right?
But I'm going to be really excited to see that I can watch Atlanta on Disney Plus, right? Because it's an FX property. But I can also watch Lando Calrissian, and I am especially excited for Donald Glover. I think that is amazing.
I mean, it has to be Donald Glover, right? Like you're not going to cast anybody other than him as Lando. I mean, you can't recast him,
right? That's what I'm saying.
So
I hope they don't recast him, but I don't think people are really thinking about that. That like Donald Glover is getting Disney money.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get broke off now. He about to get broke. Like the check
gonna hit
amazing. That Disney check hit a hell of a lot different than that than that FX check.
For a local dude who was from Stone Mountain, Georgia, right? This is amazing. I mean, he was already a meteoric in his success anyways, but this would just be the cherry on top to me.
I think the property I'm most excited about is probably the Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, Spider-Man 3 looks insane.
Because they've announced recently that all the previous Spider-Man
Tobey Maguire
and the other kid that cried too much.
Right.
Are gonna be in this movie, which is kind of odd. So that means
Jamie's in. Jamie Foxx is gonna be Electro again.
So that means it's gonna have to have some tie into
Multiverse of Madness
movie,
and
right?
WandaVision. And WandaVision kind of hints at there being, as she looks at the house and she sees it kind of flickering different versions of the house. I think that's hinting at, and if you listen, there's someone in the background of WandaVision saying, "Who did this to you? Why is this happening?" Before it kind of progresses on. And Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, kind of hints that there's going to be a Spider-Verse type of movie.
Yeah.
The only part that's ridiculous about this is that we won't get a Miles Morales, who I was looking forward to because my son Spider-Man is Miles Morales, and I'm hugely happy of that, right? Yeah. I've oriented my son, for our viewers that don't know, I've oriented my son to believe that Black Panther is the center of the MCU and Miles Morales is the real Spider-Man.
Had Chadwick not died, that would be the case going forward because you would have needed a centerpiece. And so that's why I'm torn getting into a totally different part of this conversation is I'm torn with Disney's decision not to, I guess they're not recasting T'Challa, but they're gonna need a different Black Panther because now that Tony's gone, you're gonna need the cornerstone franchise,
Right.
and that was gonna be Black Panther was gonna be the cornerstone that Iron Man was for phase 1, 2, and 3. You were gonna see Black Panther be the cornerstone for going forward. So that'll be intriguing to see what I mean. Marvel, I have to say, and then I'm done. In Marvel, I trust, because what Marvel has shown in what they've done for 10 years is the ability to weave story
Right.
between
Yeah.
movie and TV show, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
they woven story together with properties that they didn't know they would have at their disposal for 10 years, and then they wove it into the story of the show Agents of Shield, right? So
Right.
so they've done their due diligence. They've proven to me that they can do it. I trust them. I mean, to be fully transparent, the property that I'm most excited about Marvel bringing to life again is Blade.
Yeah, well, they've already announced that they are going to do this, but this wasn't a part of their announcement.
No. This wasn't a part of the announcement this week, but I was just all
Yeah.
in when they announced. I'm like, because I was like, you're gonna give me Black Panther and Blade in the same year? That's like over blackness. I'm like, I'm all in.
But see, and I've heard rumors about the MCU going forward, right? And I think this kind of backs up to some other things that have gone on this week. Particularly, there's been a huge degree of women shaming this week, right? So the rumor that I heard was that going forward in the MCU Phase 4, Tom Holland would be the domestic centerpiece of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then Brie Larson would be taking over the galactic side of it, right?
Yep.
But then there are a number of rumors that came out this week that said Brie Larson as Captain Marvel wasn't testing well, wasn't doing
Interesting.
well.
Are we going to recast Brie Larson?
Well, they said they were going to dead. This rumor specifically pointed out and said that they were going to dead the franchise after Captain Marvel 2.
Wow.
That's partially the reason why Tom Holland's Spider-Man isn't doing a solo outing on Spider-Man 3, and it's turned into much more of like a Civil War,
a Spider-Verse kind of movie.
A Spider-Verse movie is because these plans aren't working out as well.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't want to subscribe to these things because I'm all for, as you guys probably know, I'm all for diversity. So I think having Captain Marvel in is better than not having Captain Marvel in as all. But I also saw that this rumor pointed to the reason why they're pushing Fantastic Four to come out as being the new center of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to usher in mutants, X-Men, and all these other things. So it's very interesting, you know?
I mean, because I saw a rumor that said Avengers 4 was actually going to be the Secret Wars story arc.
Secret Wars is going to be on the
right.
The Sam Jackson joint.
Exactly. So now, so that was the rumor that I saw, and I was like, all right, that makes sense if you were going based on the premise that Brie was going to be the space was going to form the space version of with Sword, right? So you had Shield, which is Earth based, Sword, which is space based, and then we're going to have space based heroes and Earth based heroes, with Brie kind of leading the charge for that. But if you're saying they're trying to kill the franchise, I don't know where you go to deal with the space based threats. Specifically, since Guardians only has one more movie left.
We'll see. What I think they're kind of going with this is the new big bad, right? Well, I actually do wonder.
The big bad is going to be Galactus. Like if you're bringing Fantastic Four in, you're either going to go with Galactus or you're bringing in Doom.
They're bringing in Doom. I think Doom is definitely where this is going, right?
Galactus but Galactus to me is all right. So if you go that way, to me, you're going Galactus because you're bringing in the movies that precede. It's the if it was Fantastic Four as a standalone, it's Doom. But if but because you're doing gosh, what are these movies? Oh man, I forgot the movies that lead up to it. But Galactus seems like the villain that's being led to. If you're
Right.
going to go Fantastic Four, if you're going to go, I mean,
The
and you're
Thanos.
going, yeah. Oh, what's the movie? Oh gosh, the movie with
For sure.
with not Angelina Jolie, The Eternals.
The
So
Eternals.
the Eternals, because you casted the Eternals movie and you put that as a prominent movie in the franchise, that
Right.
movie, coupled with Fantastic Four and all the other movies in the franchise, lead me to believe that you're going to go to a Galactus and
Right.
as the Galactus version, Thanos and Galactus.
Right.
But I could also see, because Doom is such an important villain to Fantastic Four, like that's their main villain.
I think of Doom as the new Loki, right? Where he's a threat, but then he becomes less of a threat. He becomes much more of like you got to watch this guy because he goes sideways type of deal.
He's just in the movie all the time.
Right. So I could see that kind of going down, right? But I'm looking forward to it. I think this is amazing. Streaming wars.
So the only thing you could get me to talk about more than politics, is probably what Marvel is doing with their cinematic universe. But I get it. So I'm going to step down off both of those soapboxes.
Our viewers should stay tuned because we're going to have more updates. Especially as Christmas Day approaches, be ready because I'm going to talk about WW 1984.
I'm all in for that.
Let's get into some of this other stuff. So, Jeff, let me ask you a question, right? So they just announced that the vaccines are coming.
The answer is no.
The vaccine has now hit Georgia. Is the answer still no? You still not going to take the vaccine?
I'm not taking that vaccine.
Why are you not taking the vaccine?
No, bruh. How many zombie movies must we watch that literally have this exact, hey, airborne virus, vaccine has taken. Isn't that the whole premise of Tomb Raider? I mean, a Tomb Raider. What's the name of that video game we used to play that was really dark?
Well, Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. That's the whole premise of Resident Evil, right? Like, no. I mean, granted, okay. What year are we in? 2020? End of 2021, 2022, you got me, right? But I think, and the issue that I have really, to be in full transparency, is the vaccine could be amazing and it could be fire and it could work, but because we push so fast, it has nothing to do with Trump or the administration. It's the fact that the testing protocols, we haven't tested it against a large enough subset of people to know its not necessarily effectiveness, but to know the side effects that affects people in varying demographics, right? So now I will also say that by the time we are allowed to take it as regular citizens, of people who aren't in the risk categories, who aren't frontline workers, that could change with the amount of people that they've had take it. But as it stands right now, with the number of people that have taken it, my answer is no. If you ask me again mid-2021 and the amount of people that have taken it is up significantly, then that's probably a different conversation. But right now, Brian doing it.
So let me try out my deontological skills here. Let's see if I got it right. So you're concerned about it because of the way the technology that was used
to
deliver it.
No. I am more concerned at the lack of testing that has happened from people across broad demographic swaths.
Okay. So question.
Yep.
What year is your car?
2017.
2017.
No. What year are we in now? 20?
Yeah.
Probably a 16.
Okay, 2016. Does your car have automated brakes? Like you're about to get into an accident. Bing, 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 bing.
No, I don't have that. Candace's car does though.
Candace has that. So you get a car that has this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yep.
Does it have the blind spot detectors?
Yes.
Okay. Does it have seatbelts in it?
Yes. All cars have seatbelts.
Okay. All cars have seatbelts. Does it have airbags?
Yes. That's mandated now.
How safe do you think those things are?
I think when you consider the risk factors of all, though, like I think what they do well is they prevent greater accident. Like they prevent greater injury, right? I guess they minimize they mitigate what's the word I'm looking for? They mitigate
Risk.
the risk, right?
Risk of
So
injury.
yeah, of compounding injury, right?
Okay. So, but you trust them, right?
I trust them, yes.
So if you trust them, how can you trust these systems in a car but not trust the vaccine?
Because again, it's not that I don't trust the vaccine. Again, I said if you ask me this in mid 2021,
Right.
my thought process will change because it's not necessarily based on who did the vaccine or what
Right.
administration it's been done in. It's more tied to how many times it's been tested, right? And
Right.
so,
But do you know how many times your airbags have been tested?
but airbag technology has been tested significantly
So you
across
looked
broad
at
spectrum.
did you look into the airbag testing of your car before you bought
I
it?
think more so you trust the brand, right? And so I guess you're getting to, hey, you should trust Pfizer because they make good vaccines. Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
It's just
Nope.
interesting. I, I
Nope.
I do think I land differently on this. I would say if the vaccine is available, I'm probably taking the vaccine, right?
Are you taking it because you want to return back to what? Okay, so here's the other issue, right? Are you taking it because you want to return back to normal? And does the vaccine allow you to does the vaccine prevent you from getting the virus, or does it treat the virus once you have gotten it?
No, so I think the vaccine prevents you from getting the virus, right? And to my knowledge, it's like a two-shot deal. You
It's a
got to take
yep,
it,
two-shot deal.
and you got to wait like 30 days. You got to take the second dose of it, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, they say the first dose of soup is really effective, but you need the booster of the second one to get it to
So,
the 94 percentile.
so the reason why I'm probably going to take it is because I work in education.
Right.
I'm exposed to people every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way around that, right? Summer comes, eventually I'm going to be exposed to people, right? What I can't live with is not if I get sick, but if I expose my
If
family
you get
to
the family, right? Yeah. All right.
right.
So here's the follow-up then. Is Danielle taking the vaccine?
No,
So she
I
don't.
don't
So what you're saying is she don't
know.
give a damn about y'all.
No, I think what Danielle is saying, she's very cautious and she works 100% remote, right?
Yeah.
A
I'm just,
different
you know.
situation. But no, like even for Cooper, I think it's I just couldn't live with that, right? That weight.
Even though what they've shown is that the transmission between children is negligible
I'm more so worried about if I infect
if you
adult,
transmit it to him.
right? If I infect it to other people, then I would be devastated by that. And with 300,000 people dying, and with it anticipated to get much worse, I'm just concerned, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say this is my own negligence, right? I fit all the categories of someone that should be infected with coronavirus, right? I'm a minority. I'm overweight. I don't exercise as much as I should, right? These things seem like if I get hit, I'm probably going to get hit bad, right? But what I don't want to do is bring that into this network of family and friends and other people.
I feel you.
So I trust the technology because I'm not the person that looked into the airbags or the brand. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like they say it works, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. And maybe
Yeah.
that's blind, you know what I mean? But for a large swath of people, I definitely understand their concerns about it. And I think there are historical implications. I think this is
Yeah.
part of America reckoning with, you didn't do right by a bunch of people when you had the chance to do
Right.
right by them. Why would you do right by them
No,
now?
honestly, I don't even. I mean, there's a part of me that yes, do I joke about shit? I ain't trust none that come from the Trump administration, and
Right.
right, I make that joke, yes, but I think more so for me personally, it's more geared towards the fact that it hasn't been because the process has been fast tracked. It's been at warp speed, right? We
Right.
probably haven't tested it in the amount of clinical trials that it would have been tested in had it been a normal vaccine. But I again will caveat that by saying by the time it's available to you and me, the regular
Right.
Joe. Now,
Right.
granted, I do think because I work for a domestic violence organization, I think I count as a frontline worker. I know. I mean, that's. I think if you work in our shelter, you're counted as a frontline worker. If you work, I work in admin, so I'm not counted as a frontline worker. But either way, I think because I'm not counted in that risk category of a
Right.
frontline worker, I think I would have gotten it in that end of next year when it's
Right.
available to the general public category, and by
Right.
that time you would have seen, because it's going to be given so much between now
Right.
and then, you will know for a fact the big ramification side effects that are going to be there, right? So
Now, I'm definitely watching our brethren in England and Europe that have already rolled out their
right.
vaccination and watching to see what happens there. But I think largely, if it's available, I'm in line. I'm in line.
But again, I think I wonder, because you work in education, you probably would be further in the the opportunity to receive the vaccine pool.
Right.
Again, assuming both of us don't get it, right? Like
Right.
assuming all things are equal, neither one of us get it ever. You are probably further along in the line than I am when it comes on, all right, who's going to have the opportunity to get it first, just based on your line of work. I
Yeah.
work from home most of the time. I probably go to the gym. I mean, I go to the gym probably too much. But it's also part of that. Hell, I also want to stay healthy or stay somewhat healthy. But anyway, yes, I think by the time my spot in line gets there,
Right.
I think we will have seen it given enough
Yeah.
that the data will back up the science.
Yeah. Every August, I undoubtedly get god awful sick in August and September because it's just back to school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like sinuses, it's flu, it's cold. It's like, what did you get? And when I go to the doctor, they're like, where do you work? Well, I work in education. So it's
Ding.
kids. It's
Yeah.
everyone sick everywhere all the time,
I
right?
do need to get a flu shot though. I hadn't gotten a flu shot in forever. I don't think I've ever gotten. Well, I'm not gonna say ever. In my adult life, I've never had a flu shot. But
And see, and that's another one. I'm like, flu shot, do it.
I
Let's
mean,
get
I'll get it this year because, and I need to go and do it. I've just been lazy. And this year I'll do it because we have Humana at work for health insurance, and so they have this little app that gives you points for doing healthy things. And
think
so
they
and
punch
so the more points you get, then you get to
right,
buy things from the store. And so I'm
right.
like, all right,
Okay.
yeah, like I get 250 points, right? Now, granted, I got to get like 4,000 to get something good, but
Right.
hey,
But
give me
everything
bulk
else,
points. Exactly.
right,
I need
right,
bulk points. I'm going to take a CPR class because I think that's like 500 points.
right.
Like whatever it takes. I need my points. Damn it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I can completely understand how others kind of land on where they land.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go out there and kind of bash people for wanting to get the vaccine or
No.
people not wanting to get the vaccine. It is a personal choice. Do
Yeah,
your own.
100%. Do you, right? I mean, but again, I think all of our decision making, right, is a personal thing, and you have to
Right.
do what's right for you and your family. It's
Right.
what you do in your house that you rationalize is right for you and your family. If I do the opposite,
Right.
that's cool. It doesn't make us less friends. It doesn't make us less, likely to hang out. It's just you do what's in the best interest of you and your family, and that's what's important.
I think just like we said last week, it's like mind your business.
That's
Right.
it.
All you got to do is mind your business.
Mind your business.
If it ain't messing with you, why you care? Why
Yep.
you all in their business, right?
Yep.
So, but yeah, I think vaccines, we knocked that off the list. There's one last thing that's on our list of things that we think people got to know about, right?
Okay.
That we got to talk about, right? Mr. Holes or even Stevens,
I can't
or
believe you said that.
I Am Robot, right? Shia
Mr.
LaBeouf.
Transformer. Hold on, Transformers is
Transformers,
probably his
of course,
biggest
of
movie
course.
franchise.
Yeah, I would argue that. So Shia LaBeouf is currently in the middle of a lawsuit against his ex-girlfriend, FKA Twigs, right? She is alleging a history of abusive relationship with Shia, saying that he sexually assaulted her, verbally assaulted her. This guy is apparently off the chain, right?
Okay, can I be transparent? I never read the story because I couldn't pronounce her name. And I saw it and I was like, oh, I should probably read this. I was like, is her last name Twigs?
Right.
Is that real?
She's
And
an
then,
artist. That's her.
I know, but it made me lose interest because I found too many other superficial reasons not to read the story, namely surrounding her name. And so I never read the story.
Right. I would say when I read this, I was like, what? Not Shia.
Hey,
Shia?
dudes is crazy behind it. I mean, people are crazy.
Yeah.
Man,
I mean, I
behind
can
closed
understand.
doors.
I can understand that. And but then what made matters worse is that Sia then came out, Sia the singer, and said he actually conned her into an adulterous relationship by alleging that he was single, right? And I'm like, what?
Bro,
what are we talking about?
If you wanted to be with Shy, just be with Shy. You don't have to come out now and say I was conned into being in. I don't even know how that works. Like,
Right.
did he lie to you?
Well, what she says is he lied to her about being single and maybe his age as well. So she wasn't understanding of those things. And I mean,
those things, nope, not gonna ride with it. Like those things ride for you and I because we're regular as hell, right? I
right.
can say to somebody, no, I'm single because you can't look me up. You can't Google me.
Right.
Oh, yeah, my age, I'm 27, right? Because you
Right.
can't Google me.
Right.
Shia LaBeouf, you can Google him and you can check his Insta story and see if he's with anybody, right? Or you can check her Insta. Like, nope, that's dumb.
Yeah, I do think maybe Sia probably doesn't. I think this is a case of adding misery to a situation.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't further the argument much more. And I think FKA Twigs, Ari is in the middle of a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't need to add your 2 cents in, but now that you've added them, now it opens it up to scrutiny and some of these other things. And I think if FKA Twigs has a valid argument against Shia LaBeouf, I don't know Shia LaBeouf, I don't know FKA Twigs, but anytime someone alleges abuse on that level, they should be heard, right?
I mean, I think you are probably closer to your 6 degrees of separation with Shia LaBeouf because of our friend who knows Tracy Ellis Ross. So, you know, your 6 degrees of separation is probably a little bit closer to Shia.
Right.
But yeah, I would agree that I'm willing to ride with Miss Twigs.
Hey man,
can I call her Miss Twigs?
If me and Shia LaBeouf, if the police knock on my door, Mr. Claiborne, we want to ask you about something Shia LaBeouf did yesterday. Have no idea. Don't know him. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I don't know that dude. What he said? He is a liar. I don't know him. I don't know him like that, right?
Shia LaBeouf would be looking high as a kite in that video that dropped it with him in that truck. My man was high as a kite.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High joint.
That dude was high.
Hey, he's a method actor. I don't know if this is a part of his method. I don't know nothing about this. I usually notch things like this into the Hollywood category where I'm like, y'all live in a different reality that I'm down with.
Every day for Hollywood folks is Drunk Monday.
Right.
Right? Like it's like I'm gonna sober up when I have to shoot.
I'm on a whole nother level. My existence far exceeds what you can view as opportunity.
I'm 1 or 2 drinks in and I'm done, and I got things to do tomorrow. Shia LaBeouf,
right?
Smoke weed every day.
No, I just don't understand that plane of existence. I don't know how these play out. And it's like, I just want people to be heard, right? That's where I kind of leave that off at, is like, do your thing, right?
You want Miss Twigs to be heard. I feel
I
you,
want
man.
Twigs to be heard because I don't understand,
You
and
don't
someone
want
else can work that out.
It's a Miss Twigs to you.
Miss Twigs to me.
Miss Twigs.
Miss Twigs. Miss Twigs should be heard.
I would probably mistake if I saw her in person. I call her Twix, and then that would be like, that'd be the end of our friendship.
She might be pretty mad.
Whatever. That's her fault, not mine.
All right, so Jeff, who's your hero of the week? Who's your villain of the week?
All right, drum roll. Hero of the week has to be HBOMax.
Okay, hero of the week.
Hero of the week. Villain of the week, Kelly Loeffler.
Kelly Loeffler. Tell me about why Kelly Loeffler is your villain.
Can she just be my villain of the week every week?
There's
not really a good reason behind it. No. So this week was the week where she posed with that KKK leader, and then released a statement and go, I didn't know he was the leader of the KKK. Yes, chick, you did.
Right. Like, if she didn't know that, then fire your whole staff, because someone should have. As somebody posted the picture behind up there, someone should have been like, "This is a KKK leader. He's someone that you don't want to take a picture with.
Exactly.
Be viewed that way, but take heed. Do whatever you got to do."
Exactly. It was one of those situations where it was like, "Hey, let me post the picture so that all the people who are like him know that I support it, but then I'm going to delete it and have plausible deniability."
Trash.
So that I can go, oh yeah,
trash.
And I can say
trash.
It's trash, right? So I feel like a villain can be Kelly all the time, but I promise it won't be Kelly all the time.
Yeah.
What about you?
Kelly's gonna be there a lot of times. Not all the times, but most of the times, right?
She's a safe place to land on.
All right, I'm gonna go. My hero of the week definitely is. This is a good one. I think I'm gonna go with Disney Plus. I gotta go with Disney Plus.
Okay.
I'm so excited about all the TV shows, right?
Yeah.
My villain of the week, I'm gonna have to go in a sports direction. My villain of the week is Carson Wentz, because I just don't get it, right? I don't understand. You were supposed, it's like the ending of Star Wars. What would it be? Star Wars Episode 3, where Ewan McGregor is saying that Hayden Christensen, you're the chosen one. You were supposed to be it, right? But Jalen has come in and showed you the only problem the Eagles had was that Carson Wentz was starting, right? And I mean, this is like, I don't know why this is news to folks or why it's taking them so long. So Carson Wentz gets my villain of the week.
You know why it took so long. Don't act like you don't know.
Hey, I'm only gonna say I mean the world could have told them something once the backup quarterback won the Super Bowl, right? It's like, yeah, we're good. We're even greater without him, right?
And they paid him, which means if you're gonna trade him, you're gonna eat a lot of money in the cap.
Oh, actually, you know what? I'm gonna take back my hero of the week. My hero of the week is the NBA. The NBA is back.
It was really odd. I saw that and I was like,
games.
Didn't they just finish?
Games. Yeah.
I like the fact that the NBA did their thing, man, and they said, "Hey, we don't get back on schedule."
Right. I'm down with it. I
appreciate the NBA for the hustle, man.
So I'm excited to watch a full season of the NBA come back. I'm excited. So maybe I'm just in the sports mode, but hero of the week is the NBA for coming back. Villain of the week, Carson Wentz from the Eagles. What? That's all I gotta say with that.
I'm with you. It's a good stand-up list.
So, well, this was a great episode. Episode 6 is in the bag.
I think not only great episode, man, to be fully transparent with you, one of our best. Again, we showed the breadth of our knowledge, transition from politics into nerddom with our Marvel Cinematic Universe and DC Cinematic Universe knowledge. Boom. transition right into vaccine talk. People are just getting great value with this podcast. I mean, I think that's really what it is. There's something for everybody.
We're giving them everything that they could ever want. That's why they got to hit that subscribe button.
What more could you want? Like, share, comment, subscribe.
Hey, what podcast do you know is telling you to comment? Tell us everything that you want to know to make this a great podcast for you. Hit us up on Facebook, send us an Instagram message, let us know. We are here at your beck and call to make this the best podcast for you.
That's it, man.
I'm Kerry.
I'm Jeff.
This is Drunk Mondays.
Drunk Mondays, baby. Episode 6, out the door.